some for most of the people's cases under 30 days. Like, that's magnificent. But it took someone who knows what it takes in order to create a platform that allows us to win like that. So my question for you is, what was your occupation before you got into network marketing?
Before I got into network marketing, I actually had the largest independent concert company here in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gemini Entertainment. Shout out to the Geminis.
Oh, wow.
Shameless plug. It's okay. Shameless plug. And I was part owner in a restaurant in Roanoke, Virginia, and also in a clothing store in Durango, Colorado. So I was an entrepreneur, before network marketing. It just, we kind of transitioned into network marketing by force more so than by choice.
Force. Okay. What do you mean by that?
Those other businesses started to go down. They started to go south at the same time. I never forget the concert company was, it was the one that was tanking the most. Actually, we did an R. Kelly show toward the end of my journey there. We lose $43,000 doing that show. 2 weeks later, we did a mixed martial arts MMA show at the Hard Rock here, also in Las Vegas. We lose $50,000 doing that show. And I had one show after that, and I knew that it was time for me to leave that business because we were about 10 days out from the ticket sales being final, the artists on stage and everything, about 10 days out, and I still was upside down about $70,000. And I found myself thinking that, man, if I could just get my money back, I'll be okay. And then, I had to reflect. I said, okay, if you're in business to only get your money back, like, you shouldn't be in that business. And so after that, that was my last show I did. It was Donnell Jones, John B., and Avant. We did that here at a local casino. Wait.
That was your last show?
That was my last show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inside joke. Got it. All right. Okay.
Yeah, and so after that, I just, we were taking losses, taking L's all over the place. I was upside down about 200 grand, in a very short period of time. No bank loans, no lines of credit, just, all cash of mine. And, so I got to a place where I needed to look at something else. And my mom had been on me for a while about looking at the company she was with at the time in network marketing. And, I was a skeptic, I used to tell Mom, please stop talking to me about that pyramid thing. And so, now I own 2 pyramids, right? But it was funny because there was no evidence in front of me. Like, I didn't know anyone who had made any money doing that. And, I only said what I heard other people say, that it was a pyramid. And so, but again, you can't be broke and skeptic at the same time. And I was, I had about $20,000 left to my name, $13,000 a month in bills, and had no idea how I was going to make it or how I was going to get through month number 2. And so, I had to eat some humble pie, and I called my mom and I said, hey, Mom, what's going on with that pyramid thing? And she laughed and, kind of gave me a hard time. And, I ended up getting involved in that particular company. But, I think the key for me was, I had to see someone winning. And, my mom, I love her to death, but, she wasn't at the top of the company. She was doing her thing, in her capacity, in her box that she could do. And I said, Mom, just got to show me somebody who's making money. So she introduced me to the guy who would be our upline in that particular company. And, when I walked into his office to meet him, I was very rigid. I had my arms folded. I was like this because I was there because I had to be, not because I wanted to be. And he asked me, he said, how you doing? I said, how much money do you make? I didn't say hello or anything. Right, let's get to it. I said, how much money do you make? And he said, $20,000 a month. And I knew that was, another one of the signs that God was giving me, because that was the number I had in my head that I needed to keep up my current lifestyle. And so, so I loosened up a little bit. Next question, I said, how long did it take you to get there? And he said, 4 years. I said, oh no, I don't have that long. I said, show me the shortcut. And he said, well, you sit down. And I sat down, and he showed me the compensation plan. And I said, man, I can do this. And he says, everybody says they can do that. I was like, no, I can really do this. And I got started in that company. And, my second month in the business, I made $15,000. And that was, one of my worst months ever in network marketing, but it was just, yeah, but I had to win though, Tracy. We talk about when people don't have a crutch and they have to do something. I'm not a farm animal. I wasn't going to sleep outside, so I wasn't going to be homeless. Like, I had to figure it out. And, that's kind of what happened for me.
Sink or swim. I hear you. So what was your first network marketing, and what was the product or service that caused you to plant your flag in that company at that time?
It was 5 Links. It was a company called 5 Links, and they did essential services. At the time, the deregulation of energy was happening in certain areas across the country. And so that was a big thing for them. But, other stuff, it was just like, they had cable, they had direct TV, from the main providers, direct TV, the cell phone usage, had the old school video phone. They were coming out of that, because, now was on the phone. So, that was kind of phasing out. And then they kind of shifted because they wanted larger margins and they wanted to go to health and wellness. And that's when I kind of started to lose my love for the company because, I had people on my team that were spending $200, $300, $400 a month just to be qualified and weren't even earning any money. And so, that's kind of why I had to take my shift out of there.
So when you joined 5 Links and you realize that you can make this happen and you can get to that 20,000 a month in a shorter period of time, what was your plan of action right out the gate?
It was just really, because when you first get started, I don't care how much you think you know or how cool you think you are. If you have success, it's usually just because you may be slightly coachable, but your ignorance on fire. You're excited, right? And so when you're excited, people get excited. And when you're talking to someone about, what you think the future holds and what your vision is, people buy into your vision. And so they'll take a look at your deal. That's what they always say. Can I look at your deal? And they would do that, and that's kind of how I built my organization. And, honestly, just like here in Epic, it's not just a me thing, it's a we thing. I had a few people who really believed in me and, we kind of circled the wagons and we just went, back to the wall and went as hard as possible. And so that's how the momentum started. And then, once you pick up momentum, you start to realize how fragile it is and you never want to be without it. So you just continue to work and continue to work and continue to work.
Okay. So when you say you guys circled the wagons, are you talking about exposures? You increased the amount of exposures and the three-way calls and one-on-ones, the private home meetings and all those things. Mm-hmm. That's what you mean when you say circle the wagons. So what you all just put in the work and showed at as many exposures as possible.
100%. We literally would go through bowling alleys and have flyers. Like if you were in that bowling alley, you were going to hear about the deal that we were in. And so we didn't care who said yes, we didn't care who said no. We understood at an early point, in our career that it was really just the law of numbers. Like if you really put the work in, people are going to be interested in your deal. We didn't care who said no. I literally remember us walking through, a bowling alley that was kind of like, in the hood down here in Vegas, in North Las Vegas, and we're in there handing out flyers and we're talking to people. We're pulling them over in the room. We got the screen set up. Like we were literally body dragging. And, we did that and we weren't ashamed of it. Like we believed in what we believed in. And so because we did that, the numbers end up showing up. Okay.
And what was your first month? You said it was 15,000. How many people was that?
Oh man, early on even though I hadn't had any network marketing experience, I understood structure, right? And I wasn't fond of my real upline. Of course, my natural upline was my mom, but the real upline was a gentleman that I spoke with. Like we just really, he was kind of like, for him, he was kind of like an eye guy. And I didn't really vibe with that. So I understood that if I was going to create production, I wanted to override my override, right? So I would have multiple positions in the deal and I would drive the revenue through those positions and then I would catch the override again. And so we structured like that. So I don't remember exactly how many partners that was, but I know we got to, where we would do, my last month in that company was $99,231. And It was really a recruiting company because, we used to call it points for pennies, right? Because, you had to get a certain amount of points, but the residual was poor. So when I would make $100,000 in a month, I would only have about 3,000 of it that was actually residual, right? The rest of it was from recruiting bonuses. And so, that's why, once I got on this side of the desk, I understood that we wanted to make it residual heavy for people because we didn't want to, try to kind of show them how it was a quick thing. It was like, if you build it up, it's going to pay you month after month after month. So that's why we're residual heavy now.
Okay. And you said that your natural upline was your mother, but you didn't really vibe with your upline, the gentleman that you spoke with. So I would have to assume that you had the mindset of the fact that you didn't have an upline and you just ran with your particular plan. Can you just speak on that a little bit?
100%. And I know sometimes, we'll have, junior partners and they complain about their upline or, they don't think they're getting support. And I know that is necessary in some aspects, but, I kind of give them the tough love on that because like, that's no excuse, right? Because if you want to win, you're going to win. It doesn't matter, who your upline is or whatever. And we had a regional event in my other company last weekend. And I kind of use an example, like as mothers, we have a lot of mothers that are on this line. And if your child is in a burning building, you're going there to get that child. Like, you don't care if the fire department is there, the paramedics doesn't have to be there, the police don't have to be there. It's going through doors, walls, and windows. So when there's something that you really want to accomplish, like there's no excuses for that. And, you never really want someone else, honestly, to be, quote unquote, responsible for your success, right? Because, you want to work together and partner and do things together. But if someone gives you something, they can take it from you, right? So again, we never want to fall into that mindset. We want to be able to walk in any room where people understand what it is that we do and not be arrogant or cocky, but be confident in the fact that we are a big deal, right? And I've always said to my organizations that we want to put our stamp on this industry to the point that if we had to start over right now, there's not one company owner on this planet that would not make us frontline to the company. And that, see that, and so that's when you know that you have value. And again, you have that value, and it's not about the support that you may or may not get. You figure it out because you need to figure it out. You know, if I would have been in that position and waited on someone to figure it out for me, I'd be homeless, right? But again, you can't do that. Like, you have to go do it.
Yes. So I take it you didn't receive any spillover. Did I catch you?
Do not make me spit this. Do not make me spit this.
I know how you feel about the word spillover. I know.
Listen. And listen. If you are on this line, leaders, we do not get spillover. We create it. Like, don't play that game with yourself, right? Again, because you don't want anyone else to be responsible for your success. Like, you want them to partner with you and work together, but you don't want a handout, right? We want a hand up, not a handout. And so that's just one of the things that, and it happens. And, you know, we have an amazing leader right now. And if she's on, she knows I'm going to tell this story, because in our previous company, well, not previous, a company ago, before I started Evolution, I actually spilled over into her organization. And, you know, what we did was responsible for thousands of dollars a month for her. But she was working. We just happened to come in at the right time with split over. She wasn't sitting around waiting on it. And I'm not a real fan of spillover. It has to happen, and it's going to happen to people. But if you are waiting on it, you're already doing the wrong thing, right? Because you should be working. And if spillover catches you, to me, that just means that there was a period in time where you didn't have enough activity, so something fell beneath you. Right. And there's nothing wrong with getting it. Like, we're never going to give the check back because we get it. That's not what I'm saying. My point is just that you don't want to be waiting on that or to anticipate that. Like, I want to always be in motion, right? Momentum is in motion. And if you're waiting on something, then that means what? That you're not moving. And I just don't like, I don't like that. You know, I'm not saying it's a bad concept. I just believe that, you know, we shouldn't get involved into a business to anticipate spillover. Is my point. If you get it, that's a blessing, and you run with it, but you don't sit back and wait on it.
That's right. You work, and if the spillover happens, then it's gravy on top of what you're already doing. Tell me, what is your DMO? What is your daily method of operation? You have so much energy. You have so many responsibilities. You have so many paychecks that you're responsible for. Tell us what your typical, well, there is no typical, but tell me what your day looks like.
Usually my day starts off with me, you know, seeing what my leaders need from me. And, you know, when you get to a certain position, and I train on this, guys, you know, so if you're ready for the next level of leadership, what you'll learn is you won't manage people, you'll manage personalities. And that's a huge difference, right? Because you'll learn, you know, who you can pair who with, who you can ask what for. Like, you learn all of that kind of stuff. And I just, not to get off topic, but a quick example, I was talking about Phil Jackson, right? You know, in my opinion, the best basketball coach in the history of basketball. And, you know, people used to give Phil a bad knock because they would say, oh, he always had the best teams. Because remember, he had Mike and Scotty with the Bulls. He had Shaq and Kobe with the Lakers. But I challenge anyone on this line, if you go back and look at the teams before he got there, it was the same team. I actually had it in the training. It's called How to Build a Massive Organization. And it talks about managing personalities, not people. And I have the side-by-side column of the team before he got there and then after he got there. And it was basically the same team. But because he understood how to manage personalities, he could get a disciplinarian, extremely alpha male, super competitive like Michael Jordan and be able to mesh with, you know, the kind of crazy nutball guy, Dennis Rodman, right? Because he understood, right? Because he understood how to put the personalities together. And so that's what, you know, you guys will learn as you start to get involved in higher levels of leadership. And so, you know, for me, Tracy, a lot of my day is that, you know, not kind of pairing leaders, seeing what they need from you, because, you know, once you get enough leaders, you don't have to, the best thing that you can almost do is get out of their way, right? Because you don't keep your thumb on, you let them run. You let them off the leash, let them do. Like you go, you know, kind of bring them back in the fence if they need to be, but you let them off the leash, let them go. So that's actually the most, you know, the part of my day is I'm checking in with leaders when they need me. And other than that, just kind of focusing on the vision, because, you know, as the leader, you have to stretch yourself, because if you ever put a cap on you, then you just put a cap on everyone who follows you, right? So it's always about stretching you as well, you know, so like they always say, the feeder needs to get fed. So a lot of the day is also doing that and looking for the next thing. You know, I always want to be 2, 3, 4 moves ahead like chess. So that's most of the day.
Okay, excellent. Now, as a distributor, because that's how you started, and you set out such an amazing back office for us to win and to manage our businesses, what would you say are the top, you know, 5 to 7 keys to success for being a six-figure distributor, or just for the six-figure distributors that are on the line, some advanced tips for them so that they can push it even farther. For those of us that are headed towards Epic, what types of keys could you give us?
As a leader, you always have to outwork your team. It's really simple, because you can't ask people to do something that you're not doing. And so, you're 810, we have 820s, 850s, Icon or whatever on the line tonight. And all of those leaders outwork their leaders. Like, it's what it is, because as a leader, you don't respect a talker, you respect a doer. So if someone is always, kind of cracking the whip from the back, telling you what to do, and they're not doing anything, you don't respect that. So as a leader, you always have to outwork your team, because they're looking for you. One thing that I see, some leaders do and some leaders don't do. We get a lot of feedback from the field, and I don't care how big that leader is, that leader has to, send the crap up, right? Because crap it goes up, it doesn't go down, it doesn't roll down to the team. So as a leader, you're gonna have to deal with problems. You're gonna have to deal with people who have problems and problems, and listen to issues that they have. But you have to understand that that's okay. Like, you never want your leaders to stop bringing you stuff. Like, you don't, because when people stop bringing you problems, it only means one thing, and it's a bad thing. It means that they no longer see fit for you to lead them. So if you're that person, like, I wish they wouldn't call, or I wish they wouldn't say this, you coach them up, you use these as coaching moments, but you never turn away, and you never wish that would stop happening. Because if I stop bringing Tracy my problems, and I've done that for, a month or 2 months or a year or 10 years, as soon as I stop doing that, that means that I no longer see fit that Tracy can lead me. Right? That's the only thing that means. So you don't want that to have to happen. So you always want to be engaged with your team, and again, outwork your team, and always be in vision painting mode. Like, you have to, right? Because people follow vision. We always say everyone can see, but not everyone has vision. And so you have to understand that part, because honestly, guys, life is chess. Like, it's different moves. It's if this, then that, if that, then this. And so you always want to be forward thinking. And if we do that as a group, as a leadership group, and as a company, we'll always be cutting edge. There'll be nothing that comes around that we can't get involved in, because we're not narrow. Like, we're not the horse with the blinders on. Like, we're seeing, now we focus that way, right? We carry out our tasks that way, but we always have to be looking down the line.
Okay, very good. And what should the mindset be of new builders to Epic? And then what should the mindset be to those of us that were with you at the beginning, that are built?
New builders, again, is don't take advice from people not qualified to give it. Like, that's a mantra. Don't take advice from people not qualified to give it. So if you're in Epic and you want to be the best trader, on the planet, or you want to be the best builder on the planet, then you need to be plugged in with the best traders and the best builders, and and the like. What happens with most people, why they get in and fade out of network marketing so fast, is because they're ready to do something different, but they're still holding on to that old circle, right? And that's huge. That's the hardest part for people to have any form of success, because what happens is that group that you run with, or that you've been running with, you're already maxed out with that group. Like, if you could go further with that group, you'd be further already, right? And so I used to tell my leaders that the people that are going to blow this deal up are not involved in the deal yet. And it's no disrespect to those that are here. It's just that if it was going to be blown up, it'd already be blown up, right? So you have to understand that, especially in, when you're transitioning, because most people that are transitioning to network marketing are coming from, corporate America, or some form of 9 to 5, or some type of something where there's a cap or there's a box that you're put in. So when you listen to a Tracer, you listen to a Coach Max, you listen to other leaders, and you start to buy into what they're saying, you better immediately hitch your wagon to their horse. Because if not, then you have one foot in one world, one foot in another world. And because you've spent so much time in that world, the old world, it's going to have a different level of leverage on you than the new world. So you have to really get in and with the people who are leveling up. I mean, think about, like, even like what we had today, right? So who helped us get this thing off the ground? Like, as we were trying to figure out that we had a cap on the number, 100 participants, we called Coach Max, right? So now we have our top educator in the deal. We have one of the top income earners in the deal, but she's down here doing, quote unquote grunt work, right? Because it's a servant leadership thing. So that's when you get a chance to run with those type of people and people who are winning, that's the best thing that you can do. Because if you realize that, I say this all the time, as human beings, we're chameleons. We're all chameleons. Here in Vegas, D Street is any street in Las Vegas that has an alphabet attached to it. That's the hood. And I always said, you can drop me off on D Street or Wall Street, and I'm going to be one of the best on that street, right? Because I'm a chameleon. I'm going to figure out how to play the game. It doesn't matter what game it is. And so as humans, we know that we're chameleons. So by default, we should consciously be trying to attach ourselves to people who are winning and doing whatever it is that we want to do. And that sometimes, I don't want you to think that you have to leave your old friends, but again, you have to grow. And it's okay to outgrow people when those people don't have what you want. And so I think that that's the main thing for a lot of new people, is understanding that you have to partner with people who are getting what you want to have and have what you want to have. If you stay back in that old world, you'll continue to get what you had in the old world. For the existing leaders that who've been building this with us from the beginning, who's sat right there in that living room and chanted, "I am epic," when we first knew that this was going to be a deal, continue to work on building new leaders. Yes. Right? I have a mantra for my leaders. Your job is to get yourself from the back of the room to the front of the room, and then back to the back of the room again, because now your leaders are in front of the room, right? Yeah. The stage is only cool for a little while. If you're constantly on stage, that means that you're not raising enough leaders, period. Yeah. Because you should be in the back now. They should be up there. So again, it's just always developing people and pushing the envelope and understanding that the speed of the leader is the speed of the team. Your team is going to follow you. They just need to see you do it once or twice so they know it's possible. After that, they're coming, and you just help them come. So, it's two different things. As a leader, a new leader, a beginner, you want to attach yourself to people who are already winning. Simple, right? The evidence is already there. You don't need to see it. Like, they're doing it. So lock yourself in right there. For the existing leader, continue to stretch. Focus not on what you're going to get or what you can make, but how many people you can get to do what you're currently doing. And 100%. And when we stretch, I stop thinking about us, not saying that we only think about ourselves, but it's empowering. I'll never forget, in my first company in 5 Links, I was really, really close to $1 million in earnings in that company. And I had a chance to go to a private Eric Thomas event at one of the company conventions. It was only 21 of us in the room. And E.T., that was my man. And so wake up, listen to him, and go to sleep, listen to him. And so, you ever been in church and it feels like the pastor is talking directly to you? Yes. That's how it was when E.T. was training, because I was obsessed. All I had on my mind was getting to this $1 million earning, I wanted to watch, but I wanted not the pat on the back, because I didn't need that, but the validation, right? Because when people know that you're successful, people want to run with winners. So it gives you a different level. And so I'll never forget, I was in there, and E.T. was training. He was training on lions and gazelles. I remember like it was yesterday. And he stopped and he said that there's some people in here right now that want to make $1 million. He was like, that's nothing. They're printing money as we speak. He said, I challenge you. Don't worry about your $1 million. Help 3 other people make $1 million. Yes. And yes. I went from like this to like this, because then it was totally clear that it wasn't just about me. If you help enough people get what they want to get, you're going to win by default. And so that was, a huge part of my shift. So from, again, new people and existing leaders, that's the focus. Okay. Because I always say that, in network marketing, yes, we are selling a product or a service, but we're also doing organizational development, and we're developing people. So can you give us a real quick little basic training on developing people? We have a lot of founder 1000s, 2000s, and 5000s on the line. And those are really the bedrock of our organizations. They're out there really churning and burning and working, and they're putting in the work. What can you say to them from a building and business management perspective, leading their people and developing and taking them from 1000 to 2000 to 5000 to 810? I'm telling my leaders that the ambassador level is it's a totally different world, because you have lots more people you're responsible for, things of that nature. If you can share some wonderful nuggets with our 1000s, 2000s, and 5000s, that would be phenomenal. Yeah, it's really just, going on that journey with each other. Like, really, I mean, that's what it is. You don't take it alone, because you do all of your personal development together. You find that group. I just always have believed in 8. I believe 8's a powerful number, and this is a number of power. It's a number of infinity. And so anytime that I've done something, I've done it in 8s. Right? When we started, when we left, our other travel company, and we had 8 people in the room that we talked to. When I launched Evolution, I started with my Elite 8. Here, I actually have 8 dynamic people that are in those top spots. And so I just believe in running with the group, because if you build that group up and you make it, a true family deal, you're going to win, because it's not just about the business, right? And as you grow with it, you have to be careful, because you can't let them slow you down, but you don't want to grow without them. So it's a fine line. So all your personal development should be there. You have to be accountable to each other. Those are the things that you want to do as a group, because what will happen is when you do that with your group, people will watch the success and they'll do that with their group. And so you're really just doing, you're duplicating, because, one thing you guys will learn, and, most of you know it, that even when you're prospecting, you're already training. Like, you really are, because people are going to do what was done to them and say what was said to them, right?
Yep.
And so you always want to be doing the right thing. And so again, if you have those small clusters and those small groups that are growing together, that are doing what they need to be doing together, that kind of becomes your process, right? And it's always about duplication, but it's about growing together, guys. And so, and I don't, that doesn't mean that you have to be a reading fanatic or whatever, because people learn differently. I know that if I read some of these books, and sometimes I'll get on page 14 or 15, and I'm getting sleepy, right? But I can listen better, like I'm an audio guy. So there's different ways to learn, but do it together and hold each other accountable. Give out tasks. Don't try to be the dictator in your group. I don't care if you're founder 5,000 and you've only got 2 founder 1,000. Those are not people for you to beat on. You don't berate them. Like, those are your junior partners, but you're trying to elevate them. So it's always about working that group together, because that's the key. Again, when you have that group, nothing can tear us apart. And, Trace, I think me and you've talked about, I know I have with some of the other leaders, the main thing in network marketing, why people are strong, is because they keep their groups together. That's it, right? You don't fall out. You don't allow distances between levels of leadership, right? You may not know your whole organization, but you better have a dang good relationship with your top leaders, and then you make them do the same. Now they have it with their top leaders, and they have it with their top leaders, because as long as the group stays together, family, there's nothing on this planet that we can't do, because the group is important. Like, we can figure out whatever it is that we need to figure out, but you just keep the group tight, and that's how you win. So, I guess that for the founder 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, it's understanding that you're supposed to be growing together as a group. You hold each other accountable, and that's it. We always say no weak links, because you don't want those. If everyone is doing their job, then the group will grow together. A football team, they don't have 11 quarterbacks on the field. They have one, right? But they have offensive linemen who may not get a whole lot of accolades, but they are important to the deal, because the quarterback and the running back can do nothing without them. So understand what your role is in your organization. Be firm in that role, respect that role. You may not get all the accolades, you may not get the shine, but know, and as long as your leaders respect you as an important piece of that organization, then the job is done. It's not about what the rest of the world says.
Wow. So it sounds like you're talking about building a culture. Could you talk about how to do that?
100%. And that was a good translation, Tracy, because I remember when we got ready to launch the other company, we had a chance to sit with Eric Worre behind stage at one of his main events, myself and one of my ride or daughters, Derek Velasquez, and we were back there backstage with Eric Worre, and I told him, I said, Eric, we're launching our own company, man. We're tired of letting somebody else fail us. We're gonna do our own thing. What should we focus on the most? And without even thinking, he didn't have to buffer. He didn't have to try to figure it out. Right off of his tongue, he said culture. And I turned around and I looked at Derek and I smiled, because we've always focused on culture. When you build the culture and you deal with people who you know that you can count on, even when it's not business, when it's 4 a.m, there's an emergency, you can call and that person's going to answer. Those are your people. What I see oftentimes, in not just in network marketing, but in other relationships, people have too many different sets of friends, because you have the friends that you celebrate with, but then you have the friends that you go cry to. That one that you go cry to better be that same one that you're celebrating with, right? Because you have to be equally yoked. Those people have to be for you, not just, for what you're for. I always talk about, if you guys get a chance, I don't want to stay too long, but TD Jakes, the 3 types of people in your life: comrades, confidants, and constituents. Please go watch that. Please do yourself a service and go watch that, because it'll show you that everyone is not who they seem to be. And when you may be going through something and you have someone, who is not a confidant, they may be just a comrade or a constituent, because they're for what you're for or against what you're against. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're for you. You want to surround your people, or surround yourself with people who are for you. When you do that, everything else will happen like it's supposed to.
Okay. Can you talk about why it is excellent to get to the Ambassador Club?
Oh, you mean other than the money?
Other than the money. Other than the money.
It's a belief thing. It really is. People love winners. And the more you win, the more you will attract. It's always been that way. It's unexplainable. It'll always be that way. If you go to the playground right now and LeBron's out there, and you can choose LeBron, or you can choose your cousin that lives on the corner that works on cars, who are you going to choose? You're going to choose a no-brainer all day long. It's a no-brainer. You're going to laugh at your cousin. He's going to be mad, right? But you're going to choose LeBron. And so that happens when you win, and people love to run with winners. So think about this. It's a resume that you're building, right? Because when you're running through these ranks, you're building a resume. You're saying that this is what I've done, and now this is what I've helped other people do. That becomes extremely attractive to someone who's trying to figure out what's going to happen next in their life. And so the more you win, the more you win. It's like the old saying where they say the rich get richer, right? And the poor get poorer. Because the more you do something, the more that happens to you. So when you learn how to win, you learn how to deal with other people, then you learn how to share stories, you learn how to reflect back to your team that, if anything is bad happens as a leader, you accept that. That's on you. You take that L. But all the winning is not because of you, it's because of your team. When you not only just say that, but you really believe that, and that becomes how you walk and how you move, everything changes. Your vibration is different. The people that you are attracting will be different. The people who run with you will move differently. It's just going to be one of those things. You're going to have your own little army that no one can take away from you.
Excellent. I'm not trying to keep you for long. I know you have tons to do, but can you talk about why everyone should be at the Vegas event in January? I'm going to be there, by the way.
Man, when I first got started in network marketing, they used to always say that when you go to those type of events, it puts you 6 months ahead of the curve of those who have not gone. I honestly think that it's more than that. I think it's at least a year, because I had a chance to see it. When you see people come to those events, those same people, when they come back, they're not the same rank that they were at the last event.
That's right.
The business gets in them. It's a difference between in you and on you. And when the business is in you and you have a different level of belief, there's nothing that can stop you. And you develop bonds, right? Because you've seen stories, people are real people. It's not just a story anymore. Like, I actually know Trace. I actually know Coach Max. I actually know, Mr. Mark Sterling. You actually know these people, and these people pour into you. There's something about a vibration. When you're around people that vibrate high, you leave those people vibrating higher than you did before you came there. It also gives credibility to what you're doing in your business, because now you're promoting that. You're on social media. People are actually watching you at these things. So now you're no longer talking about what you heard. You're talking about what you know. That's a difference. When you are in those stands and you watch the A10s and above come across that stage and get those 6-figure rings, there is no way on the planet you're going to want to come back to the next event and not get your ring. Again, family, the mind stretches forward. It can't go backwards. You can't say, well, I made 5,000 this month. Oh, I only want to make 2,000 next month. That's not how it works. It's about going and growing. And when you're around people who are doing that, you want to do that. So these events are super, super powerful, not just for what you can achieve, but for your overall business, for your team, everything. And you guys are business owners, so please understand that these events are write-offs. Like, yeah, you may have to write that, you get that money out right now, but that comes back on your taxes. This is a write-off. You went to a business event. So, I always say, never miss an event that you're qualified to attend, right? And so this event, you're qualified to attend it no matter what rank you are, because it's a celebration of what we are doing, what we've done, and what we're going to continue to do. So again, if at all possible, please get there. I promise you don't want to, and you don't want to miss it. And you're going to be mad at yourself, because even when you go, you're going to say, man, I should have had more of my team members here. It just happens like that. It's going to be electric, and you can't simulate it. You can come back and share it with your team, but you cannot bring that same energy back.
That's right. So what can we expect, those of us that are already registered to attend? What can we expect?
It's going to be epic. That I assure you, it's going to be epic. We're going to get a chance to, be in our formal gear. We're going to be dressed to the nines. We're going to celebrate each other, because again, it's not an I thing. It's a we thing. It's a we movement, family. I'm telling you, like, there's nothing that we could be doing right now if we were doing it by ourselves. So yes. I always say that when you're in a network marketing company and you go to a convention or any type of company event, it's like being in a support group. It really is, because there's no other room that you can go into. I don't care where you go. You can go to a casino, you can go to an airport, you can go to a hotel, you can go to another meeting room, you can go to your corporate office, you can go anywhere. It's a support group. Everyone in that room, in that building, will have gone through the same things that you have. It's the only place that you can do that. Everyone in that room will have been lied to before. People have told us they're going to join our business that they didn't. Everyone in that room has been talked about before. People say, oh, you're involved in one of those things. Oh, that'll never work. Everyone there it's the only place where you can go and be around people who are going through exactly what you're going through. There won't be a stranger. You may not know the people, but you'll know what they're going through. So technically there won't be a stranger in the room. I don't care if you've never met them before, because we all fly our epic flag, and you won't get a chance to go to anywhere else and have people in the room that have gone through the exact same thing that you've gone through. All of us have been, talked about. We've not been believed in. We've had family members that didn't. We're a support group because we all go through the same thing. I'm telling you.
The support group, that's a great way to look at it. I mean, I come from like some legacy companies like ACN and Mary Kay, and when those events would happen and those speakers would come through, you see the circle of champions. They're the folks that, are making the big money, getting the rewards and all of the bonuses and whatnot. You just sit in there and you're just like, I can do that. I can be next. And that's why these events are so critical. And that we as leaders need to make sure that as much of our team is there as possible, because it creates snowball momentum. And that's what we want, because that's just more people that are going to learn how to trade Forex, which is what we want to do. I'm really excited. This has been a phenomenal interview. Is there anything that you'd like to share before we conclude?
Just that I'm grateful and thankful, again, and I say this all the time, on Zooms and meetings, because, people have the ability and the option to do whatever they want to do with their money. It's their funds, right? But because, they share the same vision that we have, not just me, Tracy, you, all the leaders on this line, we all share the same vision. And so when people believe in that vision, and not only do they believe, but they buy into it and they commit to it, that makes us family. That's where that, mud is thicker than blood comes in, because, I say it all the time, I own 2 network marketing companies and I have 5 family members involved, right? And I have hundreds of family members, even locally in Las Vegas. So we are a family. I don't know if people actually believe that. I hope they don't think we just say that and don't really mean it, but that's what it is, because you made a choice to be here. Like, you didn't slip and fall into Epic. You made a conscious decision to be involved in Epic. And that means that we share some of the same vision. And so all I implore everyone on this line to do is just continue to stay locked in with those who are winning and those who believe the same thing as you. And I know it's tough because life happens and, the pandemic happens and all of these negative things happen. But when you understand that there's a support group of people just like you that believe just like you, like, that's a huge community. And I only really want to be associated with those type of people. I just, I have an amazing time when I'm around, the family. But if you catch me in a different situation, like, I'm not really like that big, huge outgoing guy, because I don't really like a whole lot of other people. You know what I mean?
I feel you on that 100%.
Like, I like grinders. I love those who really get down there and get it. I don't like a lot of talkers. Everybody can jaw jack. I like people who really stand behind what they say, like, because the actions are everything. People can tell you anything, but they can only show you a few things, right? And so when you find people that do that and do that consistently, that's where you want to be with, guys. So, just stay locked in, because your turn is coming if you stay around people who are having their turn.
Yes.
It has to happen. And think about what we have here. It's a beautiful atmosphere because people only win when other people are winning.
Right.
So again, by default, people need to win for other people to win. And so if you stay around people who are winning, you're going to win. The only way that you cannot win in this deal is if you unplug, or you stop being coachable, or you quit. It's only 3 options of that. Anything that you do other than those 3 things, you have to win it. It's impossible for it not to happen.
Yes. I'm so fired up. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like a founder 1 right now, and I'm just ready to go. Like, I'm excited. You've given me so many things that I need to do with my team, culture. Like, we already talk a lot. Like, I freaking love my team. They are so amazing. You know who they are. They are phenomenal people. They were in your living room too. But I mean, I felt like this would be good for everyone to hear how you see things, how you work, how your mind works, because we can emulate that and thereby have the success that you've had. So I really appreciate you taking the time out this evening to talk with me and to share with everyone that's on the line, so that we can take that and apply it to our teams, apply it to our business, and have the level of success that we want. Really, really thank you so much, because you're extremely busy. You're running multiple companies, and for you to take out as much time as you're taking all the time with all of us across the board, like, we really honor you. We salute you. Hey, everybody in the chat, put some fire and some thank yous and some prayer hands, whatever you want to do. Say thank you to our founder, our CEO, for his courage and his bravery to even bring this platform to us. Because honestly, if he hadn't done this, where we all would be and how we would all.
It's just entrepreneurship is the way, family. I mean, it's the only way.
He saved us. Like, no, for real, you guys. I know, Max, you could chime in. When we were in that living room with you, like, Max and I were in tears, because This is a dream come true. And when you see how many people have checked in on the line, like I'm getting a little emotional, when you see how many people have checked in on the line from Australia, from Africa, from Canada, from all over the place, Trinidad, it's like we are truly changing and impacting people's lives for the better. And it's an amazing feeling. That's why when I said, what is it like to be an ambassador? It's more than just the money. 100%. It's about the people that we're helping and the people that we're working so hard to help. So thank you, for real. Thank you for putting this together for us.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's no weak links here. I mean, if you look at all of our leadership levels, I mean, everyone is a servant leader, again, people, and I have it back here on, for my other company, it says people over profit. And we've done the same thing here because, all of our leaders believe in that. Like we sacrifice, because we know what the greater good is. The more people that we help, the more people we empower, and we change lineages, and I always share this, and I'll say this before we go, is that, it's not really about us right now. We're building something right now that, the single mom or the single dad in 2, 3, 4 months, 2, 3, 4 years will know about because of the work that we put in right now. So when you think about how you're changing lineages and you're changing, the culture of family and the way that the children think, because again, we all know that the kids are going to do what we do. They're going to outdo us. So if they watch you work 2 jobs, they're going to work 3 jobs. If they watch you be a business owner, they're going to want to be a business owner. And so right now, by doing what we're doing, we understand that entrepreneurship is the way, because it's the only way that you can write your own story. You can't do that working for someone else. But when you do that and, your kids see it, or your nieces and nephews see it, or your little cousins see it, you've changed a mind. And think about that. Like, you've changed the trajectory of what people are going to do with their future. That's a big deal. And I think we get so wrapped up into what we're doing right now that we don't really focus on that all the time. But like, that's where, I like to keep my mind, is because right now there's some adults on this line that do what they do in this epic community daily, and their children are watching them. They're not watching them try to figure out to go through the want ads and look for another job. They're not watching them, look on Craigslist to see for a part-time gig. They're not watching that. They're watching them control and write their own story day in and day out, which means that you're low-key raising people that are going to be unemployable. And that's a good thing. Yes. Right? You want people to start with entrepreneurship. It's the only way that you get a chance to write your own story. That's the only way. You can't do it in corporate America. I don't care how good that job is. Guess what? It's still a job. And when that company has to decide between you and them, you're going to lose every time. Without fail, they're never going to fire themselves before they fire you. So entrepreneurship is really the only way.
I agree. And on that note, I don't know if you can see all the love you get in the chat. I'm not going to keep it too long because I know the East Coast right now, y'all, it's a little late for you guys. But thank you, everybody, for being on the line. Thank you, Founder, for your time and your energy as always.
Yes, guys. If you got some value on tonight, just have to chime in. Please put epic in the chat if you got some value. I'm like jumping up and down right now. If you got some serious value from this training, thank you so much, Tracy. I love what you did tonight. Put epic in the chat, guys. I will see you guys in Vegas. I hope y'all got your prom dresses ready and those tuxedos ready. I hope they excited about what's happening, because this is just an amazing platform. Mr. McCOVEY, we thank you for everything that you have done for us, for real. We appreciate you, for real.
Appreciate you.
For real.
Absolutely, Coach Max.
Thanks, little sis. This was an amazing night. We should do this again. All right, everybody. Good night. God bless. Thank you. Take these notes, and Founder, this is going to be this is recorded and it's going to be up for replay.
Awesome. Yes, please. That'd be perfect.
Okay. Fantastic, everybody. Good night. Thank you.
Good night, family.
Love.